Now, this is entertaining news. Adam Schiff is formally being investigated for mortgage fraud. Also, the president confirms who he believes should be on the 2028 presidential ticket. And Sean Diddy Combs, according to CNN, has asked for a pardon from the president. And all of these stories will show you what both sides are saying and give you the bottom line.
A Trump administration source telling The Angle that a criminal investigation of Adam Schiff is underway, conducted by U.S. Attorney's Office in Maryland for possible charges involving mortgage fraud. Now, this follows the story we broke last month when the Federal Housing Finance Agency sent a criminal referral to the DOJ alleging that Schiff, in multiple instances, falsified bank documents and property records to acquire more favorable loan terms. In a 2011 affidavit signed by the then California congressman, he certified that a property in Montgomery County, Maryland, is his primary residence. He also owns a condo in Burbank, California, which he's also claimed is his primary residence, and said so in 2023 during his campaign for Senate.
I think just about every member of Congress has a residence in their state and a residence back in D.C. since we're in session much of the week. And people make a family decision where they're going to have their kids. But our principal residence, our primary residence is in California. It always has been and always will be.
Okay, let's make sure you guys have the full story. This actually kicked off July 15th when President Trump posted this, that he always suspected that Adam Schiff was a scam artist and committed some type of fraud in his life. And it just so happens to be mortgage fraud, which is so interesting because that's what Big Tish out of New York City, that's what she's been accused of doing. So I find that to be interesting, of course. And he did respond initially to this allegation by saying, since I led the first impeachment, Trump has repeatedly called for me to be arrested for treason. So in a way, I guess this is a bit of a letdown, and this baseless attempt at political retribution won't stop me from holding him accountable, not by a long shot. Now, obviously, Adam Schiff will never be able to hold Trump accountable. I think the tide has turned, and I believe Adam Schiff will probably be held accountable, in my opinion. But hey, there's more to this. Take a listen.
Ruh-roh. Well, Senator Schiff has not responded to us about these allegations, but we were able to find a statement that his campaign spokesperson gave to CNN back in 2023. She said that the Burbank condo is his primary residence, but Adam's California and Maryland addresses have been listed as primary residences for loan purposes because they're both occupied throughout the year and to distinguish them from a vacation property. Well, the law does not work that way. Let me just say that, but nice try. Look, it's anyone's guess what happens next, but we're going to stay on this story.
Listen, at the end of the day, a lot of these stories that come out, there's only one thing that I want, and I'm assuming you want the same thing, which is accountability. I don't care how we get there. Can we just get there? Because someone like Adam Schiff, there's no question, he's as corrupt as they come. And I don't know how you go from being a representative to being a senator like that. The other thing is this. The people that claim they want to hold President Trump accountable were in the positions, I guess, to do so, are the same people who happen to be caught up in investigations themselves for corruption. Why is that exactly?
We're talking about second and third homes. Why does the Attorney General of New York State have what, a second mansion in Virginia? Adam Schiff with his other Maryland property?
Because the house I saw was not a mansion.
No, but the reason why, that's because she wanted, exactly, she wanted to get tax credits for having this in Virginia. And you've seen almost every one of the people who was investigating Trump, the Fani Willis, right? I mean, this is a basically unwell woman, it seems like, and her whole family
and
is
her
a total disaster now. Yeah, Nathan Williams and all of that. And then you have Tish James. I mean, are any of the people who made a career out of investigating Trump, both in elected office, like Tish James, who was elected in 2018 on a campaign that was exclusively get Trump, not stop Trump. I mean, have any of these people covered themselves in glory? You look at Alvin Bragg. I mean, they are, it seems to me like if you are a Democrat with skeletons to hide, your solution is, okay, we're going to investigate Trump, and that will be enough for a long career in Democratic politics.
That right there is what's going on. Remember, what did Letitia James say that she was going to run on? Getting President Trump. What did Alvin Bragg say he was going to run on? Getting President Trump. What has Adam Schiff talked about 90% of the time? Donald Trump. And so this brings us to the bottom line. This is a classical mistake from Democrats, which is if you obsess over a former president to the point where you try to throw him in prison and his family, you know the pendulum is going to swing back your way and you will be investigated. I don't know why they don't see that, right? They're playing with fire. It ends up blowing up in their face. It ends up backfiring because they're too busy engaged with trying to take someone down instead of trying to lift the American people up. That's the fundamental mistake from Democrats.
Director Pulte reports that Adam Schiff claims he lived in a one-bedroom apartment. How does a family of four, and you're a developer, a very successful developer, how does a family of four live in a one-bedroom apartment?
No, it looks like Adam Schiff really did a bad thing. They have him. Now, let's see what happens. It's not up to me. It's not up to, I stay out of it purposely. But it's mortgage loan fraud. It's a big deal. He defrauded banks and insurance companies and the federal government. But it's very simple. It's mortgage loan fraud. And you're right. That's a lot of people to live in a one-bedroom apartment, right? But he put it down. But he has a lot of other things far worse than that. So, no, Adam Schiff, they have him 100% on mortgage fraud. Now, if there's anybody else in this room except you would have no problem. But anybody else in this room, you'd have a problem. I'd have a problem.
Okay, again, all we want is, okay, so that was the president July 22nd in the Oval Office. Again, all we want is accountability. Now, before we go to our next story, let's just hear a special message from today's sponsor. You know, 32% of workers just like you believe AI could impact their job opportunities. That's according to Pew Research. Major companies like Microsoft and Google are already making moves, making AI skills crucial for your future. That's why I'm thrilled to introduce today's sponsor, Outskill, the world's top AI education platform. And this weekend, August 9th and 10th, Outskill is hosting a special AI mastermind crafted for professionals, salespeople, marketers, HR pros, tech specialists, founders, freelancers, and consultants, anyone who really wants to grow with AI. I've teamed up with them to offer 1,000 of my subscribers free access. You'll join expert mentors, get hands-on with 10 of the most powerful AI tools out there, and future-proof your career. This Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Plus, just for attending, you'll receive a free bonus toolkit worth $5,000, a custom AI toolkit, monetization roadmap, and an AI prompt Bible. Spots are limited. Click the link in the description below or scan the QR code on the screen right now to secure your free spot and take charge of your future. So next story, according to CNN and P. Diddy's attorney, they have formally asked the Trump administration for a pardon. I know, can you believe it? Listen to this.
Have people in Sean Combs's orbit, have they had conversations with the Trump administration?
Yes. My understanding is that we have reached out.
Reached out is one thing, having a conversation is another. Do you know if there have been active conversations about a pardon?
Yes, it's my understanding that we've reached out and had conversations in reference to a pardon.
President Trump, when he was asked about this pardon, he said, quote, "I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great, and he seemed like a nice guy. I didn't know him well, but when I ran for office, he was very hostile." And the president indicated that a pardon is likely not on the table because of that break in his relationship with Mr. Combs years ago. How is he feeling now about the chances of a pardon given the president's commentary?
I think that Mr. Combs is a very hopeful person, and I believe that he remains hopeful.
Okay, so just a quick disclaimer. I did not really follow the case with Diddy because I actually did not believe he was ever going to go to prison. And I thought that there was a lot of fishy stuff going on in regards to that and how it all went down. That's number one. However, which brings me to number two, the fact that they've spoken with the Trump administration about a pardon leads me to believe that they believe he's been unfairly prosecuted. Now, that brings me to the charges he was convicted of, by the way. Remember, there was 5 counts. He was only found guilty for 2 of them. And the 2 that he was found guilty on, in my opinion, are the lesser charges. They weren't even the most egregious ones. I don't know why he thinks he's been unfairly prosecuted, but that is the reality. Now, here is his attorney making the argument for that. Take a listen.
He is still facing around 70 civil allegations from men, from women, from people who allege that they were minors at the time, across decades, with horrific accusations of being drugged, of being sexually assaulted. Each of those cases does have to play through the courts individually. So I understand that he denies them, but those are still active cases.
True, but let me say this to you. We are talking about the United States government. This is the federal government. All right, it doesn't really get any stronger than that. And so they obviously fully investigated Mr. Combs and obviously threw the book at him, right? And so if you think for a second, if the government really thought that there were minors out there hanging in the balance, if the government really thought that there was drugs in the baby oil or something of that nature, do you think the government just wouldn't have brought that up in a full-fledged criminal trial? Absolutely not, right? So that's not even logical. And so if the government if there was any real evidence of those allegations, we would have heard all about it in the criminal trial.
All right. Well, there's a couple of scenarios at play. One, there has been a deal that's been made, not publicly, maybe privately. I don't know if it's legal or illegal, but I'm also not naive to know that deals are being made when it comes to Diddy, okay? They're not treating him like he's some regular criminal on the corner who was selling cocaine, all right? This is a guy who knows a lot of people, and not just anybody, but rich, important people with a lot of influence. He's been around a lot of people. He has a lot of information. So I like to believe that the U.S. government really didn't go at him as hard as they could have. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys seen the case differently, but the fact still remains he's seeking a pardon. So the question is, do you guys believe President Trump should pardon Diddy? And if so, explain why in the comments section below. And here's President Trump over the weekend responding to the claims about a potential pardon for Diddy. Take a listen.
Sean Diddy Combs.
Right.
Would you consider pardoning him?
Well, he was essentially, I guess, sort of half innocent.
Yes.
I don't know what they do. He's still in jail or something, but he was celebrating a victory, but he seems, I guess it wasn't as good as a victory. Probably, I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great, and seemed like a nice guy. I didn't know him well. But when I ran for office, he was very hostile.
He said some not so nice things about you, sir.
And it's hard, like you, we're human beings.
Right.
And we don't like to have things cloud our judgment, right? But when you knew someone and you were fine, and then you run for office and he made some terrible statements. So I don't know, it's more difficult. It makes it more, I'm being honest, it makes it more difficult to do.
But more likely a no for Combs?
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about George Santos?
Okay, so that's the president really admitting out loud what Diddy has to do to pretty much get a pardon, if you think about it. Diddy and his attorney need to come out publicly and voice a huge level of support for the president and tell him that he's doing a great job and that he's one of the best. I guarantee you're going to witness a tone change from the president, because he basically said we were cool. And then when I ran for president, he pretty much stabbed me in the back, like most of Hollywood did, right? And that's really the sad tragedy about what's taking place in our country. Okay. All right. Now we move to our next story, and it's about President Trump at this event to kick off the Los Angeles 2028 Olympics. He signed an executive order to form a task force to support this event. And so we'll start with him announcing that and then get into him answering questions that I think were entertaining.
And thank you all for being here as we take a major step to ensure the United States is fully prepared to welcome the world to Los Angeles for the 2028 Summer Olympic Games. Very exciting day of my life when we got nominated and we ultimately got it. And I didn't think I'd be here for the games in this capacity, but it worked out that way. So I'm very happy about that. I had no idea that was going to happen. When we got it, I said, too bad I won't be president then, but sort of we took a very circuitous route, didn't we? In my first term, we were instrumental in helping the city of Los Angeles win the bid to bring the Olympic torch back to American soil, and today I will sign an executive order establishing the White House Task Force on the 2028 Summer Olympics, mobilizing the entire federal government to ensure the games are safe, seamless, and historically successful. It's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be amazing.
Now, politics aside, think about the timing of his second term. He gets to be the president that celebrates the 250th birthday of America and the Olympics that he actually secured, by the way, for Los Angeles in 2028. I mean, that is huge. I mean, talk about something that doesn't really happen most of the time to a president. But let's go to the other thing that he discussed during this event, which is something that was tragic that happened last night in D.C., where one of the DOJ members, also known as Big Balls, was defending a lady in D.C. and ended up getting attacked as a result. Take a listen.
By the way, I have to say that somebody from DOJ was very badly hurt last night. You saw that. A young man who was beat up by a bunch of thugs in D.C. And either they're going to straighten their act out in the terms of government and in terms of protection, or we're going to have to federalize and run it the way it's supposed to be run.
Now, of course, the president also took to Truth Social, where he responded to this attack and posted a photo of Big Balls and what he looked like, as you guys can see there. Now, obviously, the president saying he's going to federalize it is going to send Democrats off the edge. Once again, they're going to come out saying that he's trying to be a tyrant. This is an authoritarian. He's trying to seize control of local government. Guys, if they haven't learned something by now, President Trump is a master at manipulating the media, getting them to talk about what they want to talk about in an effort to apply more pressure on Democrats. That's really what's going on here, okay? And if he puts attention and pressure on the officials in D.C., they might think twice about how they are executing law and order in their city, right? It's the same thing what happened in Los Angeles, same thing what happened with the fires, right? You need the top dog to come in and apply the proper amount of pressure. And I think that's exactly what he is doing. Now, he also reacted to House Democrats from Texas and their whole charade they've been doing lately, which is fleeing the state to these other Democrat states in an effort to get all this national attention. But in the end, they're going to lose. OK, here's what the president had to say.
Well, I think they've abandoned the state. Nobody's seen anything like it, even though they've done it twice before. And in a certain way, it almost looks like they've abandoned the state. It looks very bad. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Should the FBI get involved? Should the FBI get involved?
Well, they may have to. They may have to. No, I know they want him back. Not only the attorney general, the governor wants him back. If you look, I mean, the governor of Texas is demanding they come back. So a lot of people are demanding they come back. You can't just sit it out. You have to go back. You have to fight it out. That's what elections are all about.
Yeah. And as we talked about in our video earlier, the FBI is now involved. And of course, some of them might actually get arrested and be transported back to Texas. And of course, that would be a dramatic scenario. So hopefully they just do the right thing, because ultimately they're going to lose. OK, now, one more thing from President Trump that was huge. It's his confirmation of J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio as the ticket for 2028. I think this is the first time where he has finally acknowledged that J.D. Vance is definitely the front runner. Take a listen.
Peter?
Thank you very much, President Trump. Nice to see you got off the roof all right.
Yeah.
You said this morning that you probably won't be running for a third term. This weekend, Secretary of State Rubio said that he thought J.D. Vance would be a great nominee. You could clear the entire Republican field right now. Do you agree that the heir apparent to MAGA is J.D. Vance?
Well, I think most likely, in all fairness, he's the vice president. I think Marco is also somebody that maybe would get together with J.D. in some form. I also think we have incredible people, some of the people on the stage right here. So it's too early, obviously, to talk about it, but certainly he's doing a great job, and he would be probably favored at this point.
All right. So finally, the president acknowledges J.D. Vance and really says what we all think, which is J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio. What a ticket, right? I mean, especially the way they've been performing so far. I see no issue with it, quite frankly. And when I look at the alternative that Democrats are going to have, probably a Gavin Newsom, yeah, I'm riding with JD Vance all the way. I mean, I'm sure you guys agree with me. And that actually reminds me of something as well, because I've been noticing that more people obviously disagree with President Trump as it pertains to Israel. I've been seeing that. They disagree with President Trump as it pertains to the way the Epstein situation was handled. I'm one of those people. But in all seriousness, the bigger picture here, two things can be true at the same time. We disagree with President Trump on X, Y, or Z. And it's also true that we'd rather have him or JD Vance or Marco Rubio in charge in the White House of our country versus a Gavin Newsom. You guys following me? So I love the criticisms because we got to think for ourselves. And we also have to recognize the alternative. And that's Gavin Newsom, ladies and gentlemen. That is a terrible scenario. All right, so let's hear from you guys in the comment section to Adam Schiff finally getting the investigation he deserves. Hopefully he's actually brought up on charges and held accountable. So the question here is, do you believe he will be held accountable? Let me know in the comment section. Then what about Sean Diddy Combs? Do you think he will get a pardon from Trump ultimately? Let me know about that. And then obviously the president confirmed how we feel about JD Vance, but more importantly, he definitely warned DC officials to get their house in order and stop allowing crime to run rampant. What do you guys make of his statement there? Just give me all your thoughts in the comment section below. Now, in our next video, President Trump went after Bank of America and JP Morgan for not only debanking Trump supporters, but also refusing to do business with the president after his first term. He calls them out and exposes them. And Democrats, once again, are getting bad news. And this time it's from the FBI. So if you missed out on both of those stories, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.